there are some of you that have fought great weapon before. Uh, the way I fight great weapon is not the normal way people will fight great weapon, and what I mean by that is a lot of times, can I just use you as an
Yeah,
example?
sure.
Imagine this is a spear. A lot of times people will come out and they'll be right foot forward if they're fighting a right-handed person, and they'll keep the point facing at that person. I don't fight with a point facing the person because there's only one shot you can throw with that, a thrust. And that is just reading. And so if I'm prepared for a thrust, then I don't need to have anything else protected. Um, but if I'm fighting you and I fight with my weapon up here, I can do a cut that makes you have to adhere to the power that comes from a great weapon. And if I want to, I can pull it short, and then you would block and thrust, but I would just wait for you to lower it and then thrust you. So that is the way I like to fight great weapon, because it gives you more than one shot per attack. And that's where I'm talking great weapon and how and where to position it. It's important that when you fight great weapon, and usually when I'm talking, it's about great weapon versus sword and shield, because that's what you're going to run into 90, 100% of the time, and it's very rare that you'll run into a Florentine person or another great weapon person. And then there's different things that you have to position and make sure you're looking for while you're fighting another great weapon or a Florentine. But as if I'm getting ready to fight a sword and shield person, it's very important that you keep your weapon to this side of your body, because if you have it over here, you now have to pull everything over to this side to protect the shot, and then that then gets you out of position. You're not able to throw another shot afterwards. Whether that if I come up and I have this already on this side, all I have to do is just move it 2 or 3 inches, and then from there turn it back around or throw something off on the offhand side or the shield side. But it's very important that you know this is your offensive weapon and your defensive weapon. And what I mean by that is you can't walk out and fight instinctually with this weapon. This weapon requires, along with everything, all fighting does, so you should work on it with that. But all fighting is I consider 80% mental and 20% physical. You don't need to be the strongest, you don't need to be the fastest, you don't need to be any of that to continue to win a tournament. And I will use a good example of that. I'm not talking shit on him, but Duke Sven is not a fast fighter and he's not a overly strong fighter, but that dude has won 4 crowns. And how did he win those 4 crowns? He doesn't realize it, but he was fighting more mentally. And so what he was doing is following your recoveries back and getting kills. So he's not speed shooting you. You know, sometimes he may, but a lot of times his shots are slow enough. And when I say slow, they're not breaknecking speed where I couldn't even see where he hit me. Literally every time Duke Sven hits you, you know exactly where it hit you because it's coming in at a normal speed. But he just has worked 20 or 30 years of being a counterpuncher. So that is what's allowing him now to pay dividends on that, is because he's practiced how to counterpunch so long that he can now counterpunch most anybody and win a crown. When he gets to the end of a tournament, like whether it's an anniversary or anything, you're meeting people that are either as skilled as you or as mentally acute as you. So when you fight somebody like that, it's important that in practice, that if I'm fighting Count Drogo, and I'm just standing here like this, and I pow, and I just flick shot, and I kill you with that one time. My next objective is to try to kill you a different way than to kill you the same time, because I have to have respect for he didn't become a count just by eating bubble gum and sitting on the sidelines playing WoW. He got there because at some point in time he's figured out something within his method of fighting that is allowing him to read shots, or maybe he's accustomed to, if you throw that shot 2 or 3 times on me, I now have it cataloged. And what you don't want is those upper level fighters like Patrick, Sharif, Duke Ed, people that have the natural ability to catalog your shots. You don't want them to go, well, I'm going to fight this guy, and I know at the very beginning of the fight he's going to throw 1 flick shot here and 2 shots down here and 1 shot over here. If I already can figure out your first 4 shots, because most people will only throw shots that they have killed people with. And what I mean by that is, if I got lucky and I kill him with that shot, I have now programmed myself that anytime I fight him, that's the shot I throw. And if I'm throwing that shot on everybody, then I've programmed myself to, no matter what, that's the shot I'm going to throw, because that has killed somebody before and I have witnessed the success of that kill. The objective when you work on the Pell or when you're at a fighter practice is, if I kill you one way, I can't kill you the same way again for at least 5 more fights. Cycle it back through on the 5th shot, because at that point in time, that person is looking for that shot, and if you haven't thrown it, then sooner or later, since you've only thrown it 1 time and got success with them, it falls off of their mental capability and they're not looking for that shot. The reason why I mention that is because there's shots that you cannot throw with this immediately when you get into combat. And what I mean by that is, if I'm standing here and he has his sword and shield and I see his leg and it just screams for me to hit it, I'm not going to take that gamble to hit that shot starting off, because that's just a free, he just drops the shield and then he's going to do that, because that's instinctually what everybody does when they fight. They feel that they have to throw when the other person is throwing, instead of receiving a shot and then forming a plan based on what you just saw. And that is, it's weird to me, and I've run across it so many times, that somebody's been fighting for like 18, 19 years, and then I just say something to the effect of, hey, why are you not taking a half step over when you throw that wrap shot? And they go, what? Well, you're standing here and you're throwing your arm way out here, but you're not getting any power, because once your arm reaches this far, I'm just arming you and you're hitting me, but it's not going to go through chainmail or anything, except for when you take that half step, it keeps it closer to your body and you can get that whip that you used to get in there. They go, oh, I never thought of that. And so my question is, why did you never think of that? And the reason why they never thought about that is because they never sit down and analyze their fighting and to have a true understanding of what your fighting is. If I ask everybody here, everybody would think they're a badass. Nobody would say I suck, because you don't think you suck, because you're throwing shots and you're standing out there. But if you haven't analyzed your fighting, and what I try to get my squires to do is to write stuff down, because you're at a hyper-adrenal state, and the only thing you can remember are the things that happen in your hyper-adrenal state. When you're calm, you don't think about that anymore, because you're not in a fight or flight mentality, so therefore those things won't stick to your mind. But if you write it down, like if I fought Drogo and I walked over and I said, okay, what I would write about Drogo, if I got lucky and killed him 2 or 3 times, I'd write down those shots that I threw and killed him with, and then I'd write down the shots that he threw and killed me with, and then I would try to figure out the only way I'm going to use it on this thing. He's Count Drogo, so he's proven that he's a good fighter. So what I need to do is I need to figure out when I got him out of his groove. And what I mean by groove is every upper echelon fighter has specific shots that they like to throw. They may call it their A game, they may call it their B game, or they may call it their C game. They may come out with some new fighter that's only been fighting for 2 weeks and only throw their C game. That means they're really not fighting that person, they're kind of using them as a living pell, and they may try some different shots, but they're not active. Once you start threatening that person and they feel that their life is in danger, then they will move to their B grade shots, and that means these shots haven't always killed somebody, but they have successfully killed somebody. And if you really threaten them to the point that they're afraid that they're going to die, they're going to immediately, when they walk out there, start throwing everything from their A game, because that has proven successful. So with this, you have to be more mental than anything else. So that means that if I go up to fight Drogo, I just don't walk up and go, hey, let's fight. And I, just standing there as a clean slate, because everything he throws at me is going to be a clean slate, and I don't know where it's coming from because I'm just standing here doing this. So if I'm going to walk up and fight Drogo, that means I have sat on the sideline and I have watched him fight. I've watched the shots that he likes to throw. I've watched the shots that he likes to block. I've watched the shots of how he recovered. And I need to know all of that information because I only have this. And if I screw up and miss, I have to be able to retreat back and block what he's throwing because I don't have a blocking utensil. And that's the reason why a lot of people like to fight sword and shield, because it makes things a little bit easier, that if I throw a shot here and he starts to throw, all I really have to do is move my shield out to about here, and maybe I can pick up something if he doesn't throw some hellacious shot that pivots off something and bounces off. I expect to kill you. But you have to be totally 100% mental when you get ready to fight this, because if I'm standing here, it's like being in Vegas. If I throw this shot starting off, that is almost a 25% success rate that I'm going to catch him on the leg, and he's not going to blast me in the head, because the second I lower this, I don't have anything to block this. So if I'm going to stand here, I'm going to throw things that allow me to come back and block until I can get him accustomed to, oh, this guy's not moving his weapon out of position. He's always willing to block in position. Even if he closed in on me, I would probably go to this side, and if I saw his hand come over there, I'd move this just to here, because that's going to block some of the shots that come from over on that position. There's two things. If we lived in the West, I would say this would be viable. That's called getting on the treadmill. That means if I get ready to fight him, I spend most of my time running back, and I can run all over the country and everywhere because the space is so huge. I can just do a lap around the Eric, and then by the time he gets tired is probably when I could kill him. Or you can do it old man, fat man style like me, where I close in, because I can get a better read of what he's going to throw closed in. If he steps off to the side, I can just lean over to the side. If you step off to the offside, I can lean to this side. I get more control over the fight. But as you know, I'm going to give an example. Somebody that is good at just getting on the bicycle and running you to death, and that's a lot of his kills, or Duke Agrippa. His job is, I want to leg you, and then I want to stay as far out as possible so I can thrust at you, and then if it looks like you're going to throw at me, I run a country mile that direction. I mean, that is successful in winning, but it's not successful in controlling the fight. It still leaves it open-ended, and I could get lucky and leg him. And if I legged him, then what is he going to do? He has never practiced that. So he hasn't practiced his range. If I leg somebody with a great weapon, I will literally walk in and go, okay, can you reach me? Okay, you can reach me? Good. I'm ready to go, because I want to be challenged every time I fight, because I want to make sure that I'm blocking where I need to block and throwing where I need to throw. I don't want to win by luck. And winning, I mean, you know, I'm not saying he was lucky 3 times. 3 times winning crown proves that he's not lucky. But what it has proved is that his opponents are not paying attention to what he's doing and are falling for all the same tricks. So that means that you're not fighting mentally, you're just going out there and fighting instinctually. When I was 20, well, I started this game at 17, so basically 17 until when I got cancer, which was about like 35, I fought, and I thought I was a good fighter, but I didn't realize I was a bad fighter because a lot of my wins were won through athleticism. They weren't won through me planning and performing the right technique or the right throw. It was that I would just fake here, and I was so fast I could leap behind you, and then when you lower your shield, I'm already wrapping you in the back. Well, that doesn't require skill, that requires athleticism. And so now, I'm 52, I can't leap around that way. I had to change up my whole style of fighting because I didn't realize I can't fight like a 25-year-old for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to fight like an old guy. And what is an old guy that's gained 100 pounds since he was, you know, a kick-ass fighter? What does that guy do?
Crossbow.
Well, that's what. That's my last.
Don't have to do it.
That's what will happen when I can't take a lick, and then I can stand back there and be a badass and shoot some people and know why am I a Duke if I'm just shooting you with a bow and arrow and you're running around. But as a bigger person, I realize that, and not being able to fight as much as I used to, I realize that for you to win, you have to come to this 4x4 area. There's nothing you can do. You can run around all day out there and do whatever you want and take 4 hours. But for them to say winner, you have to come in this 4x4 area and kill me. And what I realized was that by standing here, I could have killed that person 2 or 3 times in the time it took me to leap behind them and get a free shot to throw to their back. But I never looked for that because I was always looking for the free kill, and what I would call free kill because I was using more athleticism than anything else. And so I was, as long as I was more athletic than the person I was fighting, I never felt threatened because I can run around, I can run backwards faster than that guy can run forward, you know? And I've done that. I used to be that runaway fighter until I changed my fighting things. I used to just stand there. I got lucky and killed Brian Tarragon, and I was a squire, and he was like, oh, I usually only fight so-and-so and so-and-so. And they said, oh, well, you have to warm up. And so I just stood in front of him, and I threw a rap, and I hit him with the rap, and that's all it took. From that rap, he went directly to his A game and just beat the crap out of me like I was nothing. And then he had the nerve to walk up to me after he literally beat me 10 times out of 11. I got lucky and killed him the first time. After 10 times of beating me, he literally walked up and goes, oh, you're gonna be good. Really? You just kicked my ass 7 ways from Sunday. He goes, well, how long have you been fighting? I've been fighting 6 months. He goes, well, I've been fighting for 15 years. He goes, so I just had more helm time, so I've seen more than what you have seen. So the more you fight and the more you practice, the more you start having plans of what you need to do. So, making sure I stay on point, or I can wander off.
Get back on point.
Okay. So it's important that you realize that you have this as your defensive tool and your offensive tool. So it has to be positioned in a way that you feel comfortable enough defensive. You're going to feel open because you're used to a shield a lot of times, but you're going to feel open, but you have to rely on this to be there to protect you. And the second thing you need to do is when you walk up to your opponent, you have to start paying attention to what your opponent is doing. I.e., If I walk up to him and he's standing there, immediately the first thing I go is he's right-handed. Okay, he's right-handed, and he will more than likely do what most people do when they fight a great weapon, is he will immediately try for my arms, and if he doesn't get my arms, his next go-to shots are trying to throw wraps around my weapon to try to kill me. So those are the two things that I'm looking for when I stand in front of this guy. I'm looking for anything straight down, literally can come right down here, and if I'm good enough, I can see him throw a wrap before he throws it, and all I have to do is just lean over to the side and then try to follow his weapon back as he recovers to a headshot. That is what my objective is, and that's just beginner level great weapon. But you do have to pay attention, because just when I watch people fight sword and shield, it baffles the hell out of me why somebody would come out sword leg forward, sword here, and you're fighting like Sven, a lefty. So you're giving him a free shot to your leg for no reason. You think that you're being more offensive and defensive when basically you're giving this guy a free shot at your leg. Because what has he seen the most of as being a left-handed fighter? He's seen a crap ton of open shots to this offside, and that's the reason why they throw those offside. And his defensive shot is just to come around and throw a regular wrap. And if I'm busy over here doing this, I'm not gonna have enough, to twist all the way over to block a wrap leg shot that's gonna come way out here and hit you. If you're fighting Duke Ed, if you can protect your legs against Duke Ed 80% of the time, you're going to beat him, because his bread and butter shot is to leg you. And once he legs you, his objective is not to walk in there and just kill you. It's like you're here and I'm left-handed. His objective is not to walk in here straight on you and fight like this. His objective is to walk in straight like this and keep your arm at a disadvantage and push you with the shield and then wrap the crap out of your back, because all he needs to do is control this arm. And I'm not going to push on you with my shield, but if I keep my shield right here, then I have a free over-the-head shot and a free back shot just because I've incapacitated your arm. I'm not saying that you will win 100% of the time when he is in that position, but you will have a better opportunity knowing exactly what to do when to walk in, and not to rely on instinct or athleticism, but to actually have a formulated plan. And that is the reason why a lot of times if we're going to make someone a knight, we ask them if they play chess. Granted, we want a more well-rounded person, but if a person plays chess, they realize that I have to, for me to mate him, I can't just put a piece out there and then scoot it to the end and go, oh, made it, and he's just gonna go, oh, you got me. Thinking 3 different steps ahead of time, and I'm gonna be thinking 3 steps ahead of time, and the objective is for me to outthink this guy. And that is what happens when you win a tournament. It's not that you were better than that guy, it was that you were just better at outthinking that guy. Because, I don't walk up and stand in front of you and throw one shot and expect that shot to kill you. That's highly unlikely, because I have to move 6 feet and you only have to move 2 to 3 inches to block something. My objective is to get you so concentrated on other things that I open the shield up to a position that allows you to kill. So if I want to take his leg, I'm going to actively work on this offside, which keeps his shield all the way over to that side, and then I can throw back a quick wrap and hope to get his leg, because he's left his shield open. And the reason why I mention that is that's the same thing that has to happen here, is when you throw shots, they're to keep them honest and keep them blocking, but it's also used to manipulate their defensive tool to be in the position that you need it to be in, that you can then actively throw. So if I keep throwing shots over here and it keeps his shield over here, then I can come down here and then maybe come up like this and block, but I'm gonna have a better shot at his leg because he is now believed 100% that I've been just trying to shoot for his arm. And this is, I'm unfortunately an actor, so I use a little bit of that in fighting as well. Just a sword. Yeah. Just for me. If I wanted to take his leg, I'm not going to think that I can just sit here and go, pow, and hit his leg, and then it's over with, and then I back out and let him go down. I figure that he's going to get his shield over at that point in time. And this is where acting comes into the thing. I throw this, boom, he blocks it. I step back, I throw it again, pow. Now I just give a little facial expression like, ah, that makes him think that I really want that leg shot. And all it would take is just, and then I can just go here and pop back up for a different shot because I've got him accustomed to wanting to come over here and block that leg because I've let him know, acting and instinctual-wise, that I really want that leg. And I've thrown at that leg 3 times and I haven't thrown anywhere else except for that leg. So that's the only thing he's gonna worry about is that leg at that time. And then that's where I might hitch and come back up and catch him with a flat snap on the offside head because I've got him to believe that I was actually going for that point. And I mention that because that is literally what you have to do with a great weapon, is you have to start using a little bit of acting and a little bit of mental capability. So if I'm standing here and I'm throwing at his leg and he's sooner or later he's going to get frustrated with that and try to run in. And then I can immediately pop this end up here and thrust him in the side because he's trying to come in close. Or I could come back up to the top. But either way, I've done something that's going to move his whole attacking system out of the way. That means that I'm not trying to come in and get this because that's going to give him a free headshot this way. Even if he blocks with his shield and I hit there, I'm still going to power through that to try to get him to move so that he can't get that free shot in. So your shots have to also be accurate, but they also have to be in ways that it can lend for you to defend after you get through throwing your shot. Because you don't have time to think about where his shot's coming. You have to think about that immediately at the time I attack. Because if I get ready to attack him, I'm immediately going to realize that he's going to throw a headshot this way. So if I come up and come to at least here, he's going to have to alter his shot at some point, and that may give me time to raise or lower. But if I don't throw at that leg, then it leaves my defense in a better position, and I can block here and then follow back in behind that. So it's very important that you pay attention to where you're going to throw and don't fall for what I would call a feint, because if he walked out, if Drogo walked out and he had his shield all up high and had his leg down low, I would literally laugh at him and go, you really think I'm going to shoot for your leg so you can throw a scorpion wrap and hit me all in the top of my ass? No way. I'm not going to give you that shot. I'm going to throw something else and then see where you have loaded, because most people come out with a shot that's loaded just to start the things off, and then from there they try to become more not analytical, but more, I guess I would say, athletic. Is it you have fought long enough, most everybody here, I haven't gone through, I'll do that in a bit. Most everybody here has fought long enough that they feel that they're comfortable enough making decisions in 0.5 seconds rather than having the plan already in store. And what I mean by that is they're standing out here and I'm just here, and so I'm just I'm fighting, I'm very active, I'm paying attention to what you're throwing, but you have never practiced blocking the shot from here and throwing a shot back. So you may know where it's coming, but you haven't practiced the muscle memory required to get your shot off where it becomes a non-invasive to you, but invasive to them because it's your natural secondary shot, and they don't realize that, and so it makes it frustrating to them. But you on the Pell, envision if when I stand in front of the Pell, I never think of this as just a Pell. I think of it as Duke Sean. I think of it as Duke Uther. I think of it as what's the other guy from the West? Jade. Duke Jade. I think of people that I'm fighting so that I can catalog their shots. And so when I'm standing here in front of him and I throw this shot, my vision is that Duke Sean's immediately going to throw a rack. And so I come up to block it here. And then I might come around to this side, or I might go to his body. But what I've done in that short little time is start practicing shots that will actually come in, and that you will come in. Because if you watch Sean fight, you have to watch. Okay, you can watch it one time to see if he wins or not. Who gives a crap about that? Because fighting technically is not about winning. It's about mastering the weapon and putting it to use. And it doesn't matter if I beat him 10 times out of 10. That doesn't mean I'm better than him. That means that I have worked on shots that get around, but next time we fight, I guarantee you it won't be 10 out of 10. It might be 5 out of 10. And if he can shut me down 50% of the time just by thinking about it, then he's won half the battle. So you have to envision the person that you're fighting. If it's Duke Sven, if it's Sharif, if it's Patrick, literally you have to watch a fight analytically and not just watch a fight for entertainment. Because I know that at some point in time I'm going to have to fight Sven again, and at least I know the shots that he likes to throw, and my objective is to create a defensive posture that will block all of his his kill shots and make him have to come up with something else. Because the second they fall outside of that plan that has killed millions of people, over millions of people, then literally, even if you've only been fighting 6 months, you've literally turned this Duke into a 6-month-year-old fighter, because now he has to do things that he's never practiced to try to kill you. And once you get out of practice, and once you start throwing things that are not in practice, you're almost a fucking newbie again, because you don't know what's going to work, and you don't know how to throw it, and you haven't practiced how to throw it. So that is important. How to look at your opponent. Okay. So that is important that you realize that. So I'm going to show you just a couple of shots, and I call them beginner shots, of what you can use to fight a sword and shield person, because it's going to be probably 80% of the things that you see. It's when you start getting to the upper echelons that you may be able to start sneaking stuff in. No, I just need sword and shield. Okay, so we stand up in sword and shield. What I do immediately is I walk up. I walk up and I have my great weapon. I start looking at the things that are available. How he holds the shield also will determine what shots I'm going to throw. If he doesn't put it all the way over, I may shoot more for the offhand side than the on-hand side. But my objective is to get the sword to move where I want it to move and where I need it to move. And so if I'm standing here, my thing is I throw shots to this side of the shield. Because one, that keeps your shield to this side, and it keeps your sword to this side. If he sword blocks a lot, he will normally be trying to block with that sword there. So I'm just shooting on this side. If I can get him available, if he closes in, my objective is to try to get a butt spike in there on you as soon as possible. Because most people, when they start moving forward, just move forward. Okay, move back. Now move forward. Notice that he has to move his shield out of position of what he's used to, because I have showed some pressure at a position that he is not accustomed to. And what I mean by that is if I'm standing here and he decides to rush in and I throw this shot, that means that his next shot is pretty much going to be a wrap. I come out here and then I come back in to thrust him there because I've kept his shield to that side. Does that make sense? Okay, back up again. Now rush in and I don't hit you on that shield. I have allowed him now to close in and now control my defensive weapon by his defensive weapon, because all he has to do is push out and I can't do anything except for back all the way out or run away or something. But you have to pay attention to when you're fighting sword and shield people, because you can usually tell when a sword and shield fighter is going to rush in on a great weapon fighter, because no one does it the proper way. Everybody thinks they have to get in lickety-split to kill a polearm person, but they don't. Because if you rush in as fast as that, and I go to here, and you think you're expecting something to press on you, but I don't, I can a free shot hit your back. How you should walk in on a sword and shield person is like you're picking daisies in a field. Literally, that's all that it takes. It doesn't. So put your weapon in that position and just walk in. The second, I can't get around you or anything because you're walking in slow. Because, oh, okay, you're going to turn this way, I'll turn this way with you and go this way. Oh, you're going to try to throw a headshot, I throw a leg shot at you there. But you're always in control of your fight, and you're not out of control. And that's what that rush is meant to do, is to get you out of control, which will then open you up for several different shots. If I'm going to fight a sword and shield person, I would, once I said, I would not fight them here, because all I have is this thrust. If I'm going to throw any type of shot, he's going to have to see it come up, which gives him 2 seconds or a second to figure out what to do. My objective is to be here and to fool him, to throw a shot here that he's going to block, but then I come in here and I can thrust him because he is blocked with his sword or with his shield. And I got him to blind himself long enough that I could take advantage of that movement to try to get around his utensil, or I can really try to keep him up high and just come down into a thrust to the hip. But even with that shield, and even though he was ready for it, you see it just falls naturally into the hip, because that's what everybody's going to think. One, I have the superior weapon style. That right there is the biggest mistake of any sword and shield fighter, when they feel that they have a superior weapon style. There are no such things in SCA, regular fighting, or anything that is a superior weapon style. The weapon style, if it speaks to the owner, and when I say it speaks to them, it speaks to their fighting soul, then what you think is going to be inaccurate is going to be accurate for them. I.e. meaning that I fought with this great weapon, well, not this time because I haven't fought in a long time, But I've fought with this great weapon literally since I joined the SCA. So most things I'm accustomed to, and so you're not going to surprise me with any body movement because I'm going to realize what is happening beforehand. But if you don't fight a great weapon or practice it at least once a month, or practice it, when I say practice it, I mean actually walk out in a tournament and apply it. Not standing at your pel and not sitting around thinking about it or whatever, because that's not going to get you in game mode. Most people, when they fight in Crown, they figure, oh, I had to fight a lot of sword and shield leading up to Crown. And they think that they're learning something from that moment in time, say 6 months. So I got 6 months till Crown pops up. I'm gonna fight a lot of sword and shield until I can get accustomed to that. Well, the big problem is that you walk out and you're just fighting. You're not paying attention, you're not working on things, instead of just walking out trying to swing a stick and hit Patrick, and you're just so excited that I killed Duke so-and-so that, why are you winning at practice? You can't win at practice. You go to practice, and practice means throwing shots that you wouldn't normally throw, because there's going to be points in time. There's going to be a point in time that I'm down here like this, and if I haven't practiced how to block or where to block, then I'm down here like this, and I just basically gave you a free shot. Because most people will try to meet the sword coming up there instead of, blocking around their head with their sword, because they're so accustomed to only using one instrument for one specific thing. If I'm fighting sword and shield, the shield is my blocking utensil and the sword is my blocking utensil. So if I could stand there and go like this and block all your stuff, all I need for you to do is make one mistake, and then I can get one flat snap in. There's been people that have set the throne 5 and 6 times that have only have one shot, a flat snap. So why would that flat snap work every time? I mean, you know he's going to throw it. You know that's all he throws. So why is that flat snap still coming in and killing people? Well, the reason why he's killing people is because he's thinking about it. He's not just throwing plain flat snaps. He's like, oh, when they throw to my offside head, they recover and they're a little bit back that way. I might throw a shot there to keep them honest. If not, then what I'm going to do is just kind of block everything and get in real close and then throw a tight flat snap so that it's harder for them to read where it's going before it lands there. So basically the first thing I want people to do, who has sword and shield here? Sword and shield, sword and shield, sword and shield. Okay, if you could use your sword and shield just for the first round. I'm going to have the shield people line up, and then I'm going to have people grab a great weapon and grab a fighting position in front of a sword and shield person, and then watch and see how you defend. If they throw, they're going to have 2 shots. They're going to be throwing a flat snap and a wrap shot. And so I just want to see how people are defending against those wrap shots and defending against those flat snaps. So if I could get the sword and shield people to line up right up behind me and have a little space.
Okay,
Stop it every 5 minutes and re-record.
Okay, you can step over to that level. Okay, so I have 5 shields. Oh, 6 shields. Oh, okay.
Jay will be here with the sword. We got another sword and shield coming.
Okay.
I thought you took off.
I'm gonna start on this end, and I'm gonna walk down.
I got mine.
And take a look. So how would you get ready to fight this opponent? You're gonna start there. Here? Okay. Well, then you're going to have to close with him, or he's going to have to close with you to throw a flat snap.
Okay.
So however you want to do that, it's up to you guys.
You can walk in on me.
Throw a flat snap. Yeah, and then a wrap. Okay. Let's go back, and I'm going to use your weapon.
Okay.
If I'm going to stand here and he's going to throw a flat snap, I'm going to block it here and recover, and then I'm going to try to throw something down. But don't allow your arms to start guiding your weapon. You have to actively know that this, I have 6 feet of wood between me and him, so I don't need to go up here to block. I just need to go to here to block. So let's do that one more time.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do this. I'll hold it. Stand here again. And keep your weapon here. And this time throw a wrap. And instead of pulling your sword back here, push it out this direction.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that is going to keep his arm straight, and it's going to keep your weapon still in a defensive position and still in the offensive position at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
Use that first one.
Okay. All right. That'll work. Okay, let's do that again. Let's do it a little bit slower. When he walks in and throws the wrap, try to push out so that you either can catch the sword or catch his arm, so that you can then control him. Because if you don't get control of that arm, then he's able to whip it around somewhere else. Let's go again. This time, we'll hold your weapon up. No, hold it up. Hold your shield up. The objective is not to come out here, it's to cut the angle to stop the shot from getting to you rather than to block the shot. It's more of just to deflect the shot rather than to try to really block the shot. So keep it as close as possible, but push out this direction so that you can get it. That's good. Okay, and you see how you naturally will step in here. The second you step into here, his shield now becomes your shield. So that's how you can get a little bit of more defensive protection by stepping in, or make sure that you turn to where at least 80% of your body is behind their shield, because then that's going to cause them not to be able to throw shots at you. But you need to do it again?
I think step back.
One more thing is to have your weapon out here. Don't have it back in close, because this gives him more angle to throw. This gives him less angle to throw. He has to make a judgment call, and from there I can just turn and just keep it out of position. Okay? Go ahead. Stop. Yeah, because I don't want you just to have the tip, because if you're going to throw a strike at him, you would have to raise it up, and that's going to give him, with this guy, it's going to give him a shit ton of time. So the objective is to give him as little as time as possible. So start with it in a thrust that he has to stay honest, because if you just decided to flick down and hit him, you would hit him in the head if you didn't block his shield. Okay.
Right? And you can, and you're just going to chase him. You're going to push it out. As soon as he feels,
Okay, do it again, please. All right, this time I want you to really aim like you're going to hit him in the head. I mean, right now you're being a little nice. I want you to show what he can do, and he's going to be trying to hit you in the head. So,
Aim-wise, that's me.
okay. All right, that's good. Try to, instead of pulling all the way back to your there, try to meet it further out in front of you. Because the more you keep your weapon back here, the more he has control of the whole fight. The more you keep your weapon in front of you, he has it. Okay, see, you didn't even need to catch his sword. You just got his arm, and he started going, whirl, whirl, whirl. And then that's what you want, because then you can go, oh, I can get a shot.
Right.
That
That went too hard, was it? No, all right.
Let's keep your weapon, no, keep it there. There. Well, if you don't keep it across there, I'll show you what he can do. All right, if you keep it back to where you keep it back to where you keep it. Now just come in and throw a deep leg shot. Oh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if I saw you cross over that like that, I would just go, oh, I'm going to do a throw a leg shot. And even if you block it there, then I take my shield and press it here, and then I hit you on the offside of the head. Go ahead. Let's go again.
Nice.
Okay, one more time. But realize that your objective is to keep these quillions below your chest level so that you never feel like you're going to rise up. Because once you get to here, you're Caid. Yeah. So, yeah. See, when you think about keeping the quillions down, that lowers it enough that I can't even throw a wrap shot around that leg. Yeah. Okay. Guys. Okay. Just on the wrap, just come out a little bit further, because the reason why I say that is you never know if he's going to throw a wrap or a flat snap, so you have to kind of guess in between, and so you may go out a little bit further than what you would normally do, but it was a little bit too close because he was able to get around and then still tap you on the head.
Grace?
Yep.
You know that it's a wrap that's coming, because we're all pretty much telegraphing that wrap.
Yeah.
Why would he not just blast my bicep or my forearm? Are we just doing this for practice? Or?
Well, no. The reason why he won't blast, okay, so what if I standing here and you get ready to throw the rack and I miss?
Yeah.
What happens then? You have free reign to come back and do whatever you want to do. What I'm trying to do is to make sure that when you
Make sure that contact's there.
make sure that you're contacting, because that's the only way you're going to know where his offensive utensil is, so that it doesn't come back and get you on it with a lucky shot. Go ahead.
Oh, man.
Oh, he's a lefty. So as being a lefty, you now have to switch totally, because you have to pay attention to who you're getting ready to fight. And since he's lefty, it can't be on this side. It literally has to be on this side, and you have to do everything in reverse. I know, but it's going to help you. Get too far out. No. Get accustomed to this. And notice how I step in close to his shield to get more protection. Because if I stay out here and I block his shield, he could. I want you to hit this and then reverb off that and throw something to the offside. See, if I don't get in close, then I get that. But if I get in this close here and block it, then all I have to do is just bring my stick to here, and then he hits it, and then he recovering again, And then from there, I can step back and throw something. But I close in with the shield to give myself a little bit more defensive position. Yeah. Okay, let's do that again without you stepping with that foot. Okay, let's go again. And since you already know the two shots that are coming in, you don't have to guess. So I want you to get comfortable with being confident with your quote-unquote guesses. Even though we're not guessing, you know where they're coming, so you know exactly where they're coming, so you should literally be standing still and receiving the shot. All right. This time, when you come in, I want you to throw a flat snap and then throw a deep leg wrap. See how you instinctually think that you have to do that instead of doing this? Okay, what's going to be easier to block for you is to go like, is the block there and then drop down rather than trying to meet the weapon. And that's what I thought you would do. I thought you were still trying to meet the weapon instead of letting the weapon meet you.
Because if you drop over like you just did, like thing,
yeah.
I'm gonna drop my shield on your weapon.
And this is also to keep you in practice, is to trust in your defense enough to where you let the weapon meet you and you don't force the confrontation. Because the second you force the confrontation, it can get you out of position like that, and then they can start shield pressing.
Your back leg, you're locking and then trying to get down low. Which
The not moving part is really hard.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're
used to runner.
We move.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like,
The reason why I do where you don't move is because if it rains, if you're standing in a tight area and you've only practiced running away, then you're at a huge disadvantage because you're not able to run away, and therefore that's 80% of your defense is running away, and that's shot now. So what I'm trying to work on is that you get comfortable. I call it stand and delivery. And that's, as Ross will tell you, I'm more interested in defense than I am offense. And the reason why I instill that into them, because for you to kill somebody, you still have to be alive. And if you're dead before they make a mistake, then you're dead. So I did more defense. And so when I fight, a lot of times, people go, you don't even move. No, my objective is to wait for you to make a mistake. Because I'm not going to try to outspeed you to an area. I'm going to let you make a mistake, so all I have to do is just throw a snap down to your leg, and I got your leg, and I can step back. Okay. Do it one more time. Okay. This time, we're going to do it one more time, but when he throws the first flat snap, your next movement should just be kneel. Kneel. I mean, well, almost like that. Almost like you're going to go down to your legs like that, because how you're going to get that defense for your legs is to bend down here and get that to block on the meaty part of the sword and not your fingers. Because I've had that done. Okay, that's better. That's better. And the reason why I mention that is because I've always fought with leather gauntlets, and the amount of times these fingers have been broken because I didn't dip or I thought I could block it is, you know, of course I didn't cry and I kept going, but you know, I was like, oh, I got to take my sword to my hand, and then it starts taking away from me. Once again. No? You did good with the coming out, but come out more here than down there at the bottom. Think of this as a guide, and this is how you're going to move the weapon. So what I mean by that is, literally, it's where I'm going to move to get Yeah, so it's the pivot point.
Which I do.
Yeah, let's go slower, and let me go one step at a time. And when I say move it, move it. Move, move. Yes. You see how when you move the front out, it gives you better vision and better protection instead of trying to meet it out at the bottom.
So I was moving this part.
You were moving out like this to try to meet it instead of letting the weapon meet you. And what I mean by the weapon meet you is if he gets ready to throw a flat snap, I'm just moving to here and letting the sword hit. And then if he comes up to throw the rat,
Oh.
I come to here. And the reason why I'm not, if I was fighting with a great sword or a bastard sword, I would try to shoot for his arm, but a lot of times people are fighting with this, and you're not able to get that at the time that he throws the rat shot. So I just need to block it here, and then I can do a comeback with the back of my blade and get the kill, the easy kill, and probably a kill that he's not expecting, because he's not expecting a board, that's called a bolt or shot. Literally just back this way. And my objective is to hit him with the flat part of that or anything that can...
So you have a blade on the back.
Yeah, I have a blade on the back as well. Anybody else need to go? Okay, I guess we can sit down and I can start running my jaw again. When you start running into places like Florentine, I'll wait till he gets my pole arm before I show you Florentine. When you start getting Florentine, you have to start going further into math. And what I mean by that is that initially when you start fighting great weapon, literally you should feel like a mathematician. It's like, I could shoot for his arm, but that's only like a 35% success rate, and would I be able to block a shot after him? You have to calculate all of that in your head the second before you throw the shot, because once you throw the shot, you're going to be vulnerable to whatever he throws at you. And so you have to be prepared for that. Did he not see the car?
Smaller shield?
Well, no.
Smaller shield.
No, it's not.
I'm not proficient in it. I'm still trying to learn that because, well, I've been fighting for like 35 years, and I come from a kingdom where you had to get authorized with every weapon style, and with that, I have pretty much fought and won 10 tournaments with every weapon style except Madu. I mean, I fought with 2 daggers, with axes, with maces, and all of that stuff. And I just feel to be a knight, you have to know how every weapon style moves. If you don't, then you're doing not only a disservice to the order, you're doing a disservice to the fighting community, and you're doing a disservice to yourself. Because I'm not going to be standing there and somebody's running for my king, and I go, somebody get a sword and shield quickly. Well, no, you got an axe right at your feet. Pick that up and kill the guy coming in. I mean, you should be able to do that. And the reason why I'm disgruntled was that we've had a couple of crowns that had great weapons in it, and he gets down to the finals, and literally I go, that is the worst great weapon fighting I have ever seen in my life. When you're out there monkey fucking the other guy and not hitting him with the pole arm, what the fuck are you doing? You know, I mean, come on, you're a knight. You should know how to use a fucking pole arm. But it got so bad, and I'm not even gonna mention that crown, I think you know which one. It got so bad that the king had to put thrusting back in for them to even comprehend what to do anymore. And what I mean by that is I was disgruntled with Alexander, and I was disgruntled with Sven. I was like, really? This is the finals of Crown? 2 guys out here literally monkey fucking each other. They were that close doing all this, and I was like, what does that have to do with polearm fighting? is because they never practice it and never held it serious is the reason why they get to the end and lose. I really thought Patrick was going to win this last round, that Adam won, but because I thought that he fought enough great weapon that he wouldn't be back to beginner level. And what happened was Adam is just a better first timer than him. That's literally all that it was.
What happened is Patrick didn't do nearly enough cardio.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I didn't think you were tired.
I was so gassed.
Oh, you didn't look it at all.
I could to change my gauntlets so I could try and catch my breath.
Oh, really? But I mean, literally, everybody here has watched Adam McKendrew fight at least a dozen times. Has that dude ever picked up anything other than a sword and shield?
Yeah, I've seen him use Dane axe.
He what?
I've seen him use Dane axe or spear war.
Okay, well that's at war, but you know that's different fighting than in a tournament. So what it was is that he took whatever little bit that he had and he went out there to do it. And yes, he won, but it wasn't, it's not the type of win that I guess I would look for. Mine is I want it to be definitive. I want you to know that I killed you. Not that it was a luck or not that it was by chance or by anything. I want you to know every single time I killed you because I need to instill some type of fear into you so that next time that we fight, you just don't get free willy to run in there at all because now you're going, oh, I can't run in there. He killed me with a back blade double boogie backhand last time. What the fuck was that? But you have to instill that little bit of fear in them to start being able to control your great weapon fighting. Fighting a great weapon against great weapon is a totally different beast. Could somebody just pick up a great weapon and come out here? What you want to do is match however the person is going to fight you fights. So if he walked out and he was all thrusting tip forward like that, then I would come out thrusting tip forward. I would not walk out like this because me trying to, go ahead and press my face, me trying to block this way is a lot more dicey than me trying to block this way. And all I did was just take my hand and I just rolled it like that. It moves that from a distance 2 inches, but it moves it about 2 to 4 feet when he thrusts. So thrust at me, and that's all I did. And if I was gonna be on the other side, I just rolled back out. And all that is doing is taking your wrist and rolling it and rolling it. That's all you would need to do to protect yourself against a thruster. If we were a ways away, I would probably still try to inch up close enough to where I can touch his weapon, because once I touch the weapon, it gives me a better confidence in that I can control the weapon. Now you can throw anything you want to throw. And then that's my objective is I like to use my butt spike a lot because, I mean, most people are not expecting that because once you get up here and start getting up here, they start raising their weapon and then you just go like this and you just push in to get that kill. And plus I like fighting with a smaller greatsword. Now there's something that's going to be debatable, and this only comes down to you, and this is my philosophy. If I'm fighting with a great weapon, and I'm fighting another great weapon, or I'm fighting a sword and shield person, I personally don't like to walk out there with a 7.5 foot pole on, because that just eats up the space that you can move, and it eats up the amount of agility that you can have with that. Where's our 7-footer?
That one's 6.
This one's 6?
7.5 footer on 3. Silver axe on 3, 7.5.
That's a war weapon.
That's a war axe. That's my war axe. That's my shield wall breaking axe.
Obviously so. It's not about tournament.
Yeah, I got my ass alive by Prince of Arthur with that
like,
thing.
jeez. Okay. If I'm standing out here and say you rush in and I'm here, once we get to here, my weapon is useless. Because who's going to choke up all the way down to here and be doing this? You're not. You're going to be trying to back up and still get the range with your weapon, but you just had a foot and a half eaten up on your weapon that you can't even use that. And even if I were, because our Erics are unfathomably small, 40 inches, literally I could take one step back this way and they're already saying we're edge. You know, and so that's what I learned just when I moved here, because I started in Palantir. When I moved here, I was used to being a runner with great weapon. But then what I found is that I can't have people talk to me while I'm fighting. I literally have to be in the zone. And the second they say we're edge, I'm like, well, that's nothing I'm used to hearing. What are we talking? Oh, you're close to the edge. Oh, crap. Okay, all right, sorry about that. I just didn't understand what he was talking about because I'm used to hold, and that's all I'm used to. I'm not used to wear edge or getting close to the edge. We would run into the Erics 3 times, we'd lose our legs and then just be stuck in the middle. And I never really wanted that to happen. And that's the reason why I would try to step around my opponent, because if he tries to push in, I'm gonna step around here even though we're still moving, to give myself more maneuverability, because I know that once I take a step back, I'm at a loss. I don't know what's going to happen because the Eric is so small. If I were fighting in a bigger Eric, I used to do what's called the 3-step rule, and that is if we're here and you rush in, I take 1, 2, 3, and that's all I would take, and then I would try to maneuver in. And the reason why I would do that is because with those 3 steps, you get the person conditioned that you're running away, and then all of a second you change your direction, and then he's used to running in at me, and I'm now taking a step this way. I can either come back and hit him there, or I can thrust him on the side, because I've changed the momentum of the fight by having a plan. And the reason why I would do that is because once again, they would get used to, oh, he's running away, and then I change in the blink of a hat. Not that it would give me a better fighting chance, it would just mean that I'm changing the tempo of the fight, because every fight works on a tempo, even when you're fighting on sword and shield. And how you can kill somebody's sword and shield, Duke Sean does a good job of this. Duke Sean, oh, you can go ahead and sit down, I'm sorry. Duke Sean will be fighting you sword and shield, and he'll be standing here like this, and he'll be throwing shots, and they're hitting, pow, 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 and then he'll do something that's very instrumental. He'll hit his own shield to create the noise that he threw a shot, and somebody will instinctually block, and then he lowers his shield, and then he follows back in with a shot.
I've been trying to figure out why he does that.
Well, he does that because it changes the tempo of the fight. If we're fighting, I'm going to give a tempo, and there's 2 people. These are 2 people fighting. Bam, 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 and it just kind of keeps going the same way. Keep going the same way. But the second someone stutter steps and throws an extra shot, then it throws the tempo off, because now. This is from a music point of view, and I'm also a musician. So the second you start syncopating the notes, if that other person is not a full musician, they have no idea where that syncopation is coming, because I'm creating it on my own. So you may be in a song like "Done long since you've been gone," but somebody throws in another lyric, you know it's off, because, oh, that's not what normally comes there, because I'm usually singing on a downbeat and not an upbeat. And now you're thrown, even though you know the lyrics, you're like, well, what did he just do? And, you know, why did he mess this song up? Or why did he add in an extra lyric that didn't need to be there? And that's how you can fool somebody into doing it, even sword and shield. That we're standing here and we're fighting, boom, 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 bam, bam. And once I hit here, he's gonna instinctually go up to block. And my objective is to either throw a flat snap as he lowers it or try to blast him in the leg, because it changes the tempo of the fight. Because that is going to be almost 80 to 90% of what you're doing with this weapon. You're going to have to be changing the momentum and the tempo of the fight to become successful. And once you start mastering changing the tempo of the fight, then you will find out when you fight sword and shield, it becomes somewhat easier, because now, I mean, I have something to protect me. I don't have to worry about protecting myself with a 2-inch stick. I have a shield now. And so now you work on trying to maneuver or trying to change the tempo that will cause the other person to move out of balance so that you can hit them while they're in balance. And if you can work on that point of view, I personally, it's not written in stone, I personally think that will improve your fighting by 30%, because now you're starting to think more and not just going out there and moving the body. And I don't know why people want to just go out there and move their body. I personally don't want to get hit. I mean, I like getting hit, and when I mean I like getting hit to where I don't have to think about whether I'm dead or not. Either I'm dead or I'm not. No discussion, no talking. I hate that when there's a final of a tournament and then they stop and they go out and talk and then one person just falls over. I go, that's bullshit. You know, I mean, I would much rather no, don't take it. Don't take it. I mean, I feel that I can hit you again, and if you need me to hit you harder, okay, I guess I'll do it. But that is a challenge that you have to start taking upon yourself. Instead of calling someone's shot, you should be confident enough to go, well, I hit you one time, I'll hit you freaking again. And once you start building that confidence that you can overcome anything, because a lot of times when somebody is fighting, where's Patrick?
Behind you.
Oh. A lot of times, I'm going to use him as an example. A lot of times I see people skipping through the fields. Oh, wow. And I go, what happened? Oh, I laid stick on Patrick. Really? Yeah. How'd you do it? I don't know. Well, if you don't know, then you shouldn't be skipping through the field. That means you got lucky. That means you landed stick on him by accident. I can guarantee you that's not going to happen again. You know? So you got to know exactly what you did and repeat the exact same movement. And when you can repeat the exact same thing and hit him every time, then I'd go, oh, that's a great shot. Because I've watched you set him up, and I've watched you take him down. Even if he knows that shot's coming, you're still able to hit him, then I'll be like, that's a good shot. Because if he knows what's coming and you're still able to hit him, then it must be a great shot or he can't read for shit. And we know that's not true. So that is what the benefit of starting to be more mental when you do it. So my next thing is to get you guys up and get you with a great weapon, to practice on how to maneuver a great weapon when you're fighting a great weapon. And just so that everybody knows, it's nothing tricky. It's literally rolling your wrist. If the sword is on this side, you roll your wrist this way. If the sword is on the other side, on the right-hand side, then you just roll your wrist that direction, and that will then determine where you're coming. That's only for thrust. When it gets down to blocking, it becomes basically, once again, like sword and shield, because you're going to see a 6-foot polearm swing at you from 6 feet away. I mean, if you don't see that, then there's nothing I can really say here that's going to help you. You're just dead. But you got at least 2 seconds before a great weapon hits you, and if you can't figure out how to block it or where to move or just run away, you know, that's a lot of things that people forget. Because I've been in a great weapon fight, and and one of the things I like to do, just hold on to that. If I close with you, I'd grab your great weapon, because what happens most of the time is people don't realize if I just let go of this, the fight's over and you have to hand it back to me and reset. They try to still wrestle with you, and you're like, really? Okay, dude. You know, and because that is a natural instinct, because you start off the fight, this is mine. And if I grab it, no, that's not yours, it's mine. It's mine, it's mine. And that's what we start dealing with. We revert back to that childlike mentality to say, this is mine, this is not yours. Well, if you just let go of it, he can't swing at you. And nobody even remembers that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do, there was a crown that I was in, and I was fighting somebody. I had my bastard sword and he had his axe. And he closed in with me, and I grabbed his axe in the middle and raised his arms up here and kept throwing raps at his hips. And he finally took it, and I was like, what were you doing? I mean, why were you still trying to hold on to the axe when I had it way up here, and you just could have let go of that? He goes, I didn't think of that. And that's the most simplest thing on the planet, is to just let go. But that shows you that people are not thinking when they're out there, because his objective was, I got to take it back. Okay, that's good for you. And then after I killed him, somebody walked up and said, that was so un-Caid. And I said, well, it wasn't against the rules. Granted, it may not be done in Caid because you guys don't fight great weapon, but if somebody's going to walk up at me and let me just pick it up, and then I could throw a rap with my bastard sword 3 or 4 times, you know, tough luck. You know how he has his weapon. So if he's going to come out with point out, then you need to come out with point out. All right. No, the other. If it's on your left-hand side, you roll to the left. If it's on your right-hand side, you roll to the right.
I think you've done this before too. I usually don't roll though. That's why or I'll
okay, sure. That's good. All right, I'm going to come to this side. Let's go the other way.
I'll practice the roll first.
Not so much with a great sword.
Try to, we're going to do it easy to make it easier for her, just so that she gets used to that. So just lay it here and slowly push it forward. And what you will do is take your wrist and roll it this way. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you're going to do, if you're going to do it on the, if it's on the right-hand side, you roll this way. No, hold on to it tight.
Just the wrist.
Just your wrist, that way. And if left-handed, then you use your other wrist to protect it that way.
It is. There's several ways you do it. As long as you're making
All right, be more body active. And what I mean by that is get into a more of a stance instead of standing straight up. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You see how all it is just doing what you would normally do. If I were standing here and somebody got ready to thrust at me, I would literally try to move the weapon out of the way instead of letting it hit me. And so that's basically what I'm doing here. Is thrust, thrust. Okay.
Then you have a counter shot right before you go offline.
All right, let's go with this one. Go, guys.
It's also much smaller movement.
Yeah. Because you would tire me out all the time at comic
Movement means less like energy.
Yeah. You constantly have like
Roll more. Hold on to that. Now just roll it this way.
You don't have to do that. It's a small movement. All you have to do is keep me from thrusting. Right?
I just
Too much.
fight spears.
Okay.
I usually just use my hip and hit this.
This will even work with the spear things. It will get you
My tip
back
doesn't
on the
have to
line
be
to
out
throw
here. It
fast.
just has to be there.
right.
I don't know. I've never played the
But I was also thinking
Oh, but you're still on it. I can't get you with that blade, but I've got no swing.
All right, guys.
So all I have to do is miss your own face.
That's all you need.
Okay. All right.
Next time you stood up before the
Go back in here.
just need enough.
It looks like it works a little bit better if go that way. Sorry. Good.
There we go. Naturally, you like to fight with the pole arm in the other hand, don't you?
Yeah, I switch off actually.
You switch off?
It depends on what they're doing. Like going to guard. Like if he's here, like a lot of people do like this. I'll switch off to try and get that angle.
Oh, okay.
So I use finger gauntlets, pretty mobile. I reverse a lot. So.
Oh, I mean, you're able to afford finger guns?
I got him from frickin' Morgan and Antioch before we went out of business.
Oh, so not $1,200.
No. He was like 7. It was the first set of the stealth gauntlets he made.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now he charged you more later, and then he went under. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, but
Okay, let's go ahead and go.
they were nice. They are nice.
Okay. That's good.
How'd the meeting go?
Okay.
What happened?
All right, that's good. That's good. Switch. Now he thrusts. And
In case you hadn't realized that already.
I switch on.
okay. Go back and she thrusts.
Grab your sword.
Close in just a little bit more so you can.
It works for buffers as well as does this stuff, dude.
You just sit there and be like,
Okay.
Cut it to her.
Were you guys working together?
We were.
Oh, okay. I need you to thrust.
Oh, got it.
Close in a little bit more.
You can figure out yourself. Just that leg on the skirt. Practice you were barely.
So you can get more torque on that twist. Okay. All right. All right. You guys go.
It's also pretty fast. The only way I can do it then. Not only is it
Okay.
it's like a dragonfly.
You touched me in here, like could have been on.
Okay. I figured you guys got it. Go ahead. This time you thrust and let him go again. Just so I can see.
Slid it out there. But just like watching as it command, just being like, whoa.
Oh, and same for the face.
I did a thing the other night.
You can come back online and just thrust almost immediately.
Yeah. But I did.
You'd be killing yourself. If I come up against you on.
Well, you can already do that to a degree.
Oh, okay.
The only difference is the rolling.
Hand that time, and that's why I didn't stop.
I usually just lever it with my hip.
So you're still using the backhand for strength. You're letting it turn in your front hand. So you're doing this, really?
You're already
opposed to
doing
this.
several things that you never ever
There you go. Way stronger. Yeah, totally different ball game. If you try to twist with just the backhand, you let your hand go loose in the front, you got no strength.
And the objective is this. It's literally what they were doing. Let me get over here and use him. Because if I'm standing here and you thrust, I can literally literally I'm back in position without even moving my weapon because I'm here and I just now move forward or thrust or something like that. So the objective is to get the weapon out of the way and then get it back online and thrust in the time that it takes for him to recover. So. This time you thrust him just so I can see it. I already seen it. But. See how that just falls literally right into his face. You don't even need to move it.
In theory, it looks pretty. Now, if you were,
Okay.
I was getting way.
you were getting too deep.
I was getting up in the gear.
Okay, that's good. You guys, this time you thrust and then let him.
Okay, so I'm thrusting at you.
Try to move it minimal like this.
Yeah, I love fighting great weapons.
Because if you move out here, then you have to get back in line and thrust. The objection is to sit here and go like this, and then come back and be there to poke him immediately before he can recover his weapon.
So do it real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thrusting at you.
You have to get in his range, though.
You're still doing that.
You're over blocking because you're out of range.
So step in. It's not that they don't do very little movement. It's not that they don't work better. It's that less movement. They don't work well as far as still see a lot of movement.
You feel, I think it's this weapon. Let me hold on to this.
I'll thrust at you.
Right.
Okay. I thought maybe it was because this weapon was longer. It's not.
I think the backhand isn't moving. So he's moving, you're rotating your front one, but this backhand is staying here. So he's levering it around more than you're, rather than
If the weapon is on the right hand side, I'm going to do this motion. I'm going to still hold on to it, but thrust, but move it like this. If it's on the left hand side, I literally move it like this.
I'm not doing a lot with my left hand.
Yeah,
It's
so
staying
try to
still.
get a little bit more motion into that left hand.
Yeah, so what you're doing, Urbano, is you're pushing it out, but this is staying as a forward, which is why this hand is moving.
Go slow this time, Caid.
Well, actually, this is the guy. You push it down like that.
You know, that's where when I
Maybe lift the butt of your weapon.
But I got that butt spot.
Still a little bit not quite right. I don't know.
in the wrist?
Something doesn't feel right on my end.
let me. I hate to do this like we're dating.
It wasn't quick, just bump. It was.
No, just do it again.
Let me tell you, I see.
Literally move your hand just that much. That's all you have to move.
Yeah, that one was like, because you literally had turned your
Be
back
2
on
feet over.
Watch it.
So
On
you're trying
target.
to move it instead of trying to deflect it. So your objective is to try to deflect. Go to the other side.
That is actually also one of the disadvantages of the axe head. Is it's more areas
I just got screwed by Tomuki.
Exactly like you're doing.
I'll actually try to throw the face.
Yeah, weird thing with your back arm.
How long have you been fighting? A long time? Well, I was thinking that these are maneuvers that you are used to, and that after 10 years of fighting, it's hard to get out of the practice.
Yeah, the untraining.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I say it's easier. Okay, when I say this, it's going to make it sound like I'm a god, but I'm not. It was easier for me to teach Sir Liam, because I got Liam knighted in 3 years. It's easier to teach somebody that that has never fought before, because what you teach them is what they will do. When I come to somebody that's been fighting for 18 years or so like you, I have to unteach everything you have taught yourself to then go back to those motions, and so therefore it feels like more of a detriment to your fighting because you're losing at the beginning and you're not used to losing.
Yeah, you got.
I've been trying to work this twist in. I caught one of the videos of you doing this.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I tried to do it, and then it doesn't work, and I go back to my old.
Well, because the old is how many kills you've gotten, so many kills off that, you're going to go, oh, I'm going to go back to the thing that worked for me before, rather than to take the time. I'm not saying that what I'm teaching is the best thing, but it's a different mode, and so that's literally like if I went to play golf, and then I walked up to the 5th hole. I don't pull out my 5-iron to tee off from the tee with my 5-iron. I pull my driving iron out. And then when I get on the fairway, I may pull out a 9 or a 7 to chip it up onto the field. But the more weapons you can put in your bag is the more that you can use to get stuff done. And that's what I don't think people realize, is that it's not about winning, it's about I have more in my bag than you. Okay, you may have won that one, but what about this shot? What about this shot? What if, once you get through about 20 shots and you've proven, oh, you got me on the first one, but I killed you 19 times with the others, what's going to stick in that guy's mind? What's going to stick in his mind is, I have no idea what that guy is doing. And the reason why he doesn't have any ideas that you can do is because you can throw everything out of your bag. You know, and people are not used to that. They're only used to seeing 1 or 2 shots out of the bag, and people harp on those shots over and over and over and over and over for years and years and years, and then you're able to pick that stuff up. So the game that you should play with yourself, I know it's hard, especially when you're fighting in fighter practice. The objective is to try to kill somebody differently each time you fight. Because if you can get them thinking about 5 or 6 shots, then the game is yours. You've already chessed them to the point where I'm going to win this just because he doesn't know what I'm going to throw. And then that's when you throw your super secret shot, or you throw just a regular shot to get him moving that way, and then you throw your super secret shot. Okay, guys. All right, it's time for more jaw jacking.
More jaw jacking.
More jaw jacking. Is using your tip to control the shield. And so that's just what I wanted to run over.
Well, let's get them all back.
Yeah.
All right,
Hey,
guys, listen up. We're
I
back
think you're
on.
hard to tell your modulator.
Well, trust me, I am nowhere near as good as Edric was with that thing.
I meant
What, the construction?
Yeah.
The construction is legal.
Shield.
No, it isn't. Well, that was in 2016, not 2018. Yeah, that didn't go over in the rules. That's reason. Yeah, I'm not going to be on the board and make an illegal weapon.
You better.
Don't ever talk about rules again.
So like the sandals are legal now?
Go do it, Ross. Go do it.
I just made an axe. Hold up, we're okay.
You mean an axe? What?
Yeah, you know that's me. This is cool, man.
Well, trust me, not when I'm getting my ass kicked. It's not cool.
I can do this.
That's my turn. It's way lighter.
Could you get your shield?
Yep.
Holy crap. I didn't know you were here. Exactly. Oh, he has? I didn't even recognize it. The thing that you have to also remember is that since you only have one weapon to defend or to attack with, that's the only thing that you have to try to control the defensive weapon that they're going to use, but you have to do it in a way that you can still defend and maybe go into an attack form yourself. So if I'm standing out at range with Ross and I'm right here, I'm going to throw several shots down here because that's going to cause him either one, that's even better, he's either going to come across with his sword and that keeps it in front of him and I know exactly where his sword is at all times, or do it with your shield. It's going to hit the shield, and that's going to cause enough pressure that it's going to cause him not to want to rush in at that time because I'm controlling the pressure at the end of the shield. So I'm going to hold this here, and you try to run forward. Yeah, I just literally had to just strengthen it out, so therefore you can move around there and then come back and do that. But that is to stop. That is to stop rushing. For people that want to rush you, it's better to either control the top of their shield or control their shield, and it's better if they want to protect with their sword. Because if I throw in here, okay, and you rush in, what are you going to do?
That's a good question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, or I get you in the nut. But the objection is to keep the sword in an angle that you can see where the shots are going to develop. And if you can protect and control the shield, that will protect your distance. And if the person is going to protect with their sword, then that helps you protect against a shot that's coming in. Because as much as he wants to, he's not going to be able to redirect this off his sword and do what he wants to do. Because I'm putting pressure on that as he's running in. And so the only way somebody can kill you when they're running in is let me hold it. They're not running at you going like this, because who's going to get a kill that way? They're running at you doing this. So that means they're going to have to recoil and recover, and that's the time that you attack. Because the only way they're going to get power is by developing the power instead of letting it naturally be there. What else did I want to cover? Shots, positions, those are the... So I covered my 4-point outline. I didn't want to overload you with too much stuff and get very technical, but I just wanted to kind of give you a beginning course on that, because if you work on this, and when I mean work on it, I don't mean 2 weeks from now you pick up a great weapon and you kind of futz around with a little bit. Literally, you have to work on the Pell and work on your great weapon position to become proficient with it. Not that I just want you to walk out there just one time, oh, I don't care about this tournament, I'm gonna get out there, and then in 2 you're out. What do you learn after only fighting 2 fights? Well, you learn 1, that you suck at greatsword, and 2, are you going to then take the effort to try to practice and learn this? And the reason why I want to say this is because this has been a long-seated thing in Caid since I was here 25 years ago. People believe that you only can get knighted by fighting sword and shield. And I want to reiterate, that is a ton of bull crap. You can get knighted with any weapon that speaks to your warrior's soul. So if you can fight with 5-foot axe or fight with Florentine, as well as you can fight with sword and shield, that's going to give you a better turnout. Because why are you going to take a weapon style that doesn't speak to you, which means that you're literally going to be starting from a 1st grade level, and you're going to be hanging at a 1st grade level for probably a year or 2 years, and then after you don't win enough fights, you end up quitting the SCA because, I don't need this anymore. Well, you don't need it because you believe the hype that you need to fight sword and shield to become a knight. And secondly, my first question is, why do you care if you become a knight? Because the objection in SCA is, I go out and fight and I win, and if I win enough, I win the tournament. It doesn't say if I go out and fight and become a knight, and then I win a tournament, I'm winning. My objective when I first started, and why I pissed off all the knights in my kingdom, is they started coming up to me. For 2 years, I won every single tournament in Callantyre. And it became a running joke in Callantyre. They'd call up in court, and the winner today, and then everybody at one time would go, Tomuki, but that, it wasn't because I was the best fighter. It was because I did the most practice. I went to the gym 3 hours a day. I taught step aerobics 3 times a week, and I did Pell work every time a week, to the point that Duke Valens even said, man, you've turned this into a sport. And I go, no, I didn't. It was a sport when I got here. You know, I just decided that you told me, because the question I asked when I first showed up is, oh, what do you have to do to become, you know, get some notoriety in SCA? And literally everybody said, you have to win fights. Oh, that's all you got to do? Okay. Not that that's all you got to do, but that's easy. I can go practice and lift weights and do all that stuff and do all that work myself. And if I won Crown, I was unbelted. And that to me, except for if I happen to fight in Crown now, if I fought in Crown now and I won, I would probably cherish this fight more because it wasn't one with athleticism, it was one with mental capability. Because I'm not saying I'm not athletical, I mean I'm not athletic now, but I am way less athletic than what I used to be. And so when I won before, I used to cherish winning, but I didn't realize I won just through athleticism. And to me, that didn't prove that I was a better fighter. It just proved that I was a better athlete. And what does that prove? I mean, so now I'm 52 and I can't jump over buildings and, you know, bend bullets with my teeth anymore or whatever it is. And so now when I'm fighting, I feel ego gets in the way. I feel the need that I should win just due to the fact that I won so many times in my youth that I feel I should win now. But you got to realize people get better at the same time you get better. So the person you were able to beat 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or last year, that guy may have your number now because he's been practicing. And you've been worried about winning, and that dude has been worried about practicing. So that's the reason why I wanted to say practice is everything. Even though it may be boring to stand there and swing at the Pell, you can at least stand there 20 or 30 minutes and get 500 blows in. If you can't last 500 blows, then why are you playing this game? Because you can't get better with sitting at home playing WoW and eating snickerdoodles. And that's the same thing as what I say to when people take someone's legs and then they give up their legs. I was like, well, what was the purpose of you practicing if you're going to just give up your legs if that person's going to give up their legs? And why should I play to the lowest common denominator? The objective is to come out here and best your opponent with either skill or athleticism or whatever. I don't need to come out here and give up my legs because you sit at home for 14 hours eating a whole box of Oreos and playing WoW. And who gives a crap that you're 80th level in WoW? I could care less. Guess what? I'm 80th level on your ass right now. You know? So what I mean by that is, who cares? Okay, you can play WoW really good. But when it comes down to really moving your body and fighting, you need to have that same amount of confidence that you have when you're playing WoW. Because when you play WoW, I mean, I'm just using that as an example. I don't know if a lot of you play games or not, but usually when you get ready to roll into a camp, you don't roll into a camp wondering if you can kill the things that you're going to kill. You're rolling into that camp knowing that you can kill the things that you can kill. And there's a difference between the two. If I roll up and some things go foobar, I'm scrambling, I don't know what to do. And I'm gonna usually die because they're gonna over-team me or something like that. But if I go to that same camp and go, oh, there's 3 people in that camp and I'm only one person and I'm gonna have to single all of these guys, what you do, you root one, you may root a second one and then fight one individually, and then when the root comes off the other one, you fight the other one individually, and then you fight the other one individually, and you go, ah, I just destroyed that whole camp. Well, yeah, you did, but you didn't just roll right in there and just start swinging and throwing the blows. So why would you go into an SCA fight just rolling in there swinging blows? I mean, you got to have a plan and you got to have an understanding of what you're doing. And when I see, I'm going to use Liam for example. When he first started, the first day, he asked to be my man at arms. And I was like, no way, dude, this is your first time ever? and he just was chomping at the bits, and he didn't want to wait. And I said, you got to at least be in 6 months before I know that you're gonna stay here and do anything. Well, he got pissed off, which it's okay if he does, and he literally went over to some other night and got squired to that guy, and then came back and said, oh, you mad at me? I was like, no. If that dude wants to take you and this is only your second time out, then that's on him. That's not on me. But what I'm looking for is somebody that's dedicated, has some motivation, and willing to put in the effort. Because when I was fighting, everybody would go, oh, it's just easy for you. Really? I just was at the gym 3 hours a day for 6 days a week, and I taught step aerobics. I was at the gym 20-something hours this week. And then plus I did Pell work, which was an hour and a half a day. It's not easy because I just walked up and decided it was going to be easy. It was easy because I put in the work to make it easy. And that's what I'm not quite sure everybody completely understands. The more work you put in this, the better you're going to get. Granted, it would be better if we could make money at doing this. I would love as many bruises that I had. If I had $100 for every time I had a bruise, yeah, I'd love it. But this is not something that you can just pick up on the weekend and expect to be good at. There's only like 1 in 10 people that can just walk up and go, oh, y'all just have to hit each other with a stick, and the next thing you know, he's throwing double boogie backhands and busting you upside the head, and you're going, well, how is he doing that? Well, because he is instinctually, it's instinctual for him to fight, and a good person for that would be Duke Ivan. Duke Ivan, whether, I'm going to mention this, and so we all know that he broke rules, so we're not going to be shocked at that. Whether he was sober or whether he was drunk, that dude fought like a demon, and I never could figure out how he could fight so well drunk, because I tried drinking one time and I found myself going, do, 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 do. Oh, you hit me? Oh, okay, that was good. And I just walk off the field and I lose all motivation. And what I found out about that, after I got off the field and I got ready to write my journal, and I was like, man, I can't remember hardly any of the fights that I had today. What I realized at that point in time is that most of the time I was fighting, I was mentally cataloging people. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I got that day and went, I can't remember any of the fights I had. I remember I got the shit kicked out of me, but I don't remember how they did it, or, I remember who, it was Duke the Mighty. He busted me up 7 ways from Sunday, but I couldn't tell you what he did to do that. It takes it away from you. And the reason why I want you to, most of you won't, but the reason why I want you to write in a journal is because after 6 months or a year of fighting, it's your job to go back to your journal and look at every single page. Look at the people you killed, look at the people that have killed you, and you develop your style by looking at what you have written down. I'm not creating anything new. I'm not creating anything fancy. I'm just taking the things that worked for me and not taking the things that didn't work for me. And then from there, I can, after about 2 or 3 years of that, then you're able to almost wing it by just walking up to some guy and go, hey, how you throwing that shot? And then he goes, oh, I'm just doing this and this and this. Well, he says enough things that it triggers all the things that I've worked on, then I go, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And now when I stand in front of the person, I don't think about the shot I throw. I think visually. I think if I'm going to throw a scorpion shot, I envision Duke Hano. I mean, I don't think about what I'm going to throw. I just envision Duke Hano, and I try to copy exactly the vision that's in my head, and then that's what gives me my success. But I've broken it down into sight instead of mental capabilities, just because that works better for me. I mean, I can't tell you what street we got through to get here, but I could go back home the exact same way because I remember the exact direction that we went, because I'm more of a visual person than I am an analytical person. So that's what you got to realize, is that when you fight, you have to be open to everything. Not only thinking about what you're doing, but paying attention to what that other person is doing so you can start getting in a rhythm of isms. And what I mean by isms is, I'm going to use you again, Drogo. I know Drogo likes to throw an overhand shot like that, but he never throws it after coming off of a leg shot, and he never throws it after coming off of an offside body or leg shot. So the only time I need to look for that is literally when he's closing, because that is his bread and butter shot when he closes. Only because you've killed so many people with that. They're not expecting you to just walk in and jump to the side and throw a wrap shot. Oh, wow, you got me. But you've done that so often and have had so much success for that, that now becomes an ism for you, and you didn't realize that was an ism. Yeah. Well, what I mean by that is this. Since now I've mentioned that to you, and it's an ism, you should probably start off all your shots by not even throwing that shot. And then once you have worked out another way of killing someone, then you can toss that back in. But you've got to fool them along enough so that they don't fall into your isms, and you're only losing because you're too stuck with your isms. And that's another thing that you got to realize, is a lot of times, and I'm just looking out at all of you, and all of us have done that. Doesn't matter how good you are, there's always somebody that can kick your butt. There's always is. I mean, the reason why I gave up, my first objective was to try to be the best swordsman I could be. I wanted to be the swordsman that when you mention my name 20 years from now, you talk about how he jumped off the mountains and he killed 30 people with one shot. But what I realized is this: in every single generation, your generation, even your generation, there is always somebody that can best you and that can beat you. And so your objective is to find that person that can beat you 50 or 60% of the time and work out ways to kill that person, because even though he's beating you 50 or 60 times, he's training you how to beat him, because he's only going to throw what has been killing you over and over. And the more times you can get helm time into watching that shot blast you, the more time it comes to, oh, you blocked that instinctually. Well, I blocked it instinctually because I got tired of my ribs being pressed open. And the good thing about my shire is I started in a shire. We had 6 fighters. 3 of them happened to be left-handed, and 3 of them happened to be right-handed. So when I got in, I would be fighting left-handed people, and then I would go to class, math class in the morning, and I could barely write because I got so tired of people hitting me in the ribs and not breaking them, but pushing them apart and hurting, and I just finally went, okay, enough's enough. What do I got to do? And so I just stood out there one day and just fought left-handed person after left-handed person over and over and over and over, to the point that the guy that got me in says, hey, that's enough. And I was like, no, it's not enough. I haven't learned it yet, because I'm still getting hit with that. It took 2 weeks of doing that, and then when I came back, it was Sir Hufta. He was like, man, I'm not hitting you with that shot anymore. Yeah, you're not, because you were bruising my ribs, and I got tired of that stuff. And that was the old school way of fighting, is there was nobody there going, hold your hand here and do this. They said, get on your armor. And they just go out and beat the crap out of you until you got tired of getting the crap beat out of you. And that's how you would stay in the SCA, because people that got the crap beat out of them but didn't want to put in the work usually quit. And the people that were coming back to go, oh, F you, dude, you're not pushing my ribs in again. I'm going to bust you up. I'm going to get to hit you. And a lot of my younger fighting was through anger. And it was, I don't even know what I was angry at. I was just angry at something. Just an angry young man, I don't know. But I fought with a lot of anger. And then once I got older, I realized I wasn't fighting with anger anymore. So therefore, the shots and things that I used to do, I wasn't able to do anymore because I'm not angry. can't just be fighting just to fight. You have to be fighting to prove something, if not to yourself, to your father, to your mother, to somebody else, even your opponent. You just can't be out there just swinging and fighting and, you know, you don't care. I mean, oh, you lost 60% to that guy, but you wouldn't have lost 60% if you fought with determination and a little bit of anger. And what I mean by anger is, I'll use you, and I'll use Brand. No, okay. When you fight Brand, if you went out there and were just like, he's gonna fucking bust you up to 7 ways of Sunday.
Yep.
Okay, so what was the purpose of you going out there to fight him? To give him more practice? No. You know, he's going to say thank you because he's going out there with intent and determination and striking blows where he wants the blows to be struck, and you're just out there swinging because you're young and you just want to fight, you know, and you can't fight that way. You have to. Every fight has to mean something, or you're not going to learn something from it. Very important that you learn at the moment in time that you are actually fighting, because if you're not, then you're going to spend, you know, I've met people that, how long have you been fighting? 18 years. Well, what have you learned? Because I'm just literally walking up to you, just flat snapping you every time. I'm not even throwing anything new. And that is a person that's so stuck in their isms that they won't even adapt to win. And that is the same thing I see when I see people walk up to fight that left-handed fighter and they step out with this foot. Oh, that guy's not serious. That's the first thing that pops into my mind when I see that. Oh, that bitch ain't serious. I need to watch that. Because Sven can hit that shot at will, anytime. And if you're going to throw something offhand, you end up turning your back. He has all of that there, and you're like, You're just giving him, he's just giving you an enema for no reason. You know? And it just really baffles me as why people don't pay attention to who they fight. So every time you get ready to fight, whether it's sword and shield or whether it's polearm, you should walk up and look at your opponent. Because I've seen people fight somebody, and then you walk off and you were like, why were you throwing that? He was left-handed. Oh, he was? Holy smokes! You just fought that guy and you didn't know he was left-handed? Are you kidding me? But a lot of people do that because they're so used to just getting out there just to fight instead of getting out there and analyzing the person that they're going to fight and then forming some form of strategy. It may not work, but it's better to have something than nothing. So I'm going to leave you with that. I know I probably talked 2 hours, but I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to challenge everybody here to practice your great weapon, and I want to challenge everybody here is to use it in a tournament. Don't just do it at fighter practice. You're not going to get better until you can apply it and you become comfortable with it. And I know I'm talking to a lot of Caidans here, but I'm going to really ask that I don't want to, sometimes it feels like I'm wasting my time because I've taught this class for like 3 years straight and nobody picked up a great weapon, not even to play with it at fighter practice. So my thing is, if I'm going to take the effort to come out here and talk about this, then you can at least make the effort to fight one tournament with it or fight one fighter practice with it. I mean, you guys got armor on. I mean, unless you're fighting in just a kidney belt, knee cops, and elbow cops, yeah, that might hurt. But most of you have body armor. Well, I mean, I know. I mean, we're old school. We're used to that kind of stuff. But I would fight with that. But when I say I wanted to get hit, when I got hit, I knew I was hit because I had nothing but a kidney belt. So I was, that's going to leave a mark. And you know, and my objective was to have as few as marks as possible. My objective was to win every fight, but we know that's impossible. No matter how good you are. There's even Caid. No, we won't get into that. Yeah, we won't get into that. But what I was gonna say is that Duke Caid has fought in 17 crowns, and he boasts that he has won all 17 crowns. Well, we can argue that, but no one can walk out at 17 tournaments and not get touched by anybody, ever. And there's other Dukes in the tournament, and nobody touched you. Well, you know, we're going to argue on that, but still, he is of a level that you have to come out with your A game, or he's going to smoke you. I mean, I know he has that capability. I've seen that on many occasions, and he's just able to smoke someone. And I'm not trying to say that he didn't win those crowns legit, but I'm just saying the probability of going through that many tournaments and not getting touched is kind of as highly improbable. I'm just going to say, just doing statistics, it's improbable. Because I fought people that I knew I could beat, and still, no matter what, they have beat me like once or twice. And even though I know I can beat them, so that just goes to show you, at some point in time, you're going to make a mistake, and therefore, that if that person's there to capitalize on it, then you end up getting that loss. But that is kind of what I wanted to talk about Great Weapon. If there's any questions that somebody would like to ask, go ahead.
I've got one. Earlier you mentioned if you're fighting with a great weapon against a left-handed sword and shieldman, to switch which hand is forward so that you can block that side of your body.
Yeah.
If you're a left-handed great weapon fighter, do you recommend fighting the same way that a right-hander would and just getting used to that because most of your opponents are right-handed?
Yes, it's always important to, if I'm fighting a left-handed person, to make sure my weapon's on the left-hand side. If I'm fighting a right-handed person, make sure it's on the right-hand side, because it's going to give you easier blocks. Not to say that you can't fight great weapon that way, but it would be more taxing for you to try to get every block in when you're opposite of what somebody is fighting. So if I'm fighting a left-handed person and I keep everything here, you know, that quick snap to my leg, I'm gonna have to do a lot of work to try to get over there and block that, versus just dipping my knees. And that is one of the things that you have to get used to, just as a great weapon fighter, is that this doesn't protect you, because everybody instinctually does this once they start getting pressed. And you got to remember that it has to stay down for you to get better protection. Any other questions? None whatsoever? Okay. Well, good luck. You go ahead, stand up.
Okay.
You can get a shield. Just go ahead.
Oops.
I'm sorry, I didn't show what I consider the trick shot, the bread and butter shot, from being here. If I was going to throw a wrap to this guy, I would throw here and throw, and then literally put my arm, this hand in my armpit, like this. I strike, and then I come around and I throw just a normal wrap, but I put my hand in my armpit so that I'm hitting with the back end of the blade.
Okay. So you're trying to train him to not throw. That's the. Okay, you're completely undefended whenever you're around.
Well,
so
not necessarily.
Okay.
So you come in, so brush in, and I'm stepping out to the side
so it's
at the time as they're stepping in. Okay. Or even if you're standing there and I want to throw that wrap, I step off to the side. So even if I don't have anything to protect it, you're used to meeting my opponent right here, and the second I'm over here, all the power is going to fade out because you were expecting to meet your opponent right there instead of over here. Okay. Maybe I guess should have you guys practice that.
Would you ever try and wrap the leg as well?
The only way I would try to wrap your leg is if I kept throwing here and you kept raising your shield higher and higher, then I might fall back and go there. But I personally don't shoot for that leg until I have a clear understanding that I could get that shot in and still miss your shot. Okay. If I'm standing in this close, I'm not going to wrap it because you're going to just throw a shot right in. But if I'm standing way out here and like this, I might throw out here because you can't reach me with your weapon. But that's the only time that you would throw something below chest level. Because even if I'm here, yeah, maybe I could get that back in, but once you hit that, then what do I do? Well, I got to run back because I'm here and I'm all bunched up instead of here and still somewhat active and can do that. The other thing is, if you were going to close with me, I'd close right here and I'd move your weapon and shield down to then just try to blast you that way. That's another way of staying in there. Plus, I want to try to get over as close to your shield as possible so that you can't throw any other shots.
Okay. So what about back cuts to this side?
Back cuts to this side, or from when I showed you how to block. Okay. So throw your flat snap. And that's why you pay attention to where the weapon is, because your recovery is just to come in here. And with this being a great weapon, you can get more leverage and more power in on that shot than a regular shot.
Okay. Any other situations that would come up? Just a counter?
Well, it's going to be very rare, but there's some people that fight with their shield all the way here. And, okay, for example, Adam McAndrew is good about holding that because he's using a side mount. I throw a shot here and literally step in and try to then thrust into there because he has his shield open that way. So you have to pay attention to how they have their shield. If I were fighting Scala, I would never get that in because he fights totally covered and he's just standing back there and he's thrusting. You know, that's a little bit of the reason why I wanted to do that Madhu, because I was like, dude, you're just not going to thrust the fuck out of me. You're going to have to come in and throw some blade work or something. I'm not just not going to let you win at thrusting. And so that was the reason why I kind of went to the Madhu I know it sounds horrible, but two of the people that have won the most recent crowns were nothing but thrusters. And so they used that to their advantage. And so what I wanted to do is build something that you can't use that at an advantage, that you have to work on your blade work to come in. Because if I'm right here, all I got to do is just thrust. I got 45 inches at the end of my thrusting tip, and your sword is only 36 inches. So I win by seven inches or so. So that is what my objective is. And I know it's kind of cheesy to try to go to a style that can just best two people, but what I wanted to show was that as long as you're conscious of them thrusting and are able to block it and keep it down, then you have a chance of winning. No matter if I was fighting sword and shield, I would fight with a more sword and shield style up close, because I'm not going to allow him to have those easy thrust in that way. And I would also my plan would be is to throw a hell of a lot of arm shots. So if you want to stick that arm out there and thrust and do all you want, I'm going to try my best to rip it off your body. And then you're going to get you're either going to say, oh, I just can't thrust that guy because he always hits my arm, or I have to figure out a way to get around those arm shots. And what I mean by arm shots are, just let me see this. So mine, like you have a shield. Yeah, and so you're going to thrust me. I throw tons of shots this way. Boom, boom. And whether you say they're hard enough or not, I don't care. As long as I can hit that arm at will, I'm good to go, because I know that that's going to train you that you can't just come in on me and start thrusting at will. And what I mean by that is Agrippa thrusts so much that it's become such a habit to him that he can literally thrust you from right in here just by coming around and going, you know, because he's worked out all that stuff. And so if you haven't worked out how to block that, then he's going to end up thrusting you with it. And then also you have to, it's kind of hard, but go down to your knees. It's kind of hard when the person stays way out here like this and are just here and just thrusting. I mean, you can't even begin to do any type of defense because you're so low on your knees. And so it may be that you need to be more active on your knees and shoot. Oh, you primarily fight great sword? Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of, it's not dickish, but it's like, oh, you found something that works for you, and now it's my job as your opponent to come up with ways that I can shut it down. It's not about beating Scala. It's not about beating Agrippa. It's about, oh, that's prevalent right now. I got to figure out how to shut that down, because that's my job. You know, granted, it's been 20 years since I've fought in Crown, and I don't really care to fight in Crown again. I just didn't enjoy it. So therefore, it's, you know, it's something that I may fight in a Crown and I may not, but I need to know how to take care of it if I'm going to run into it again. And so that's why I'm taking this time to try to practice on what I should do, so that when I get in that situation, I'm not surprised.
Hell routines or hell games or exercises that could be done like in full armor that you would recommend?
With great weapon?
Great weapon against sword and shield.
Great weapon against sword and shield. I would practice this, since a lot of you are used to fighting great weapon this way, meaning right hand at the lead, left hand in the back. I would switch to this, and I'd put X's on my shield, and I'd practice thrusting. Because you're going to have to thrust at some point in time, and it has to be strong enough before you do it. And as long as you have X's or some target portion on your pel, and you can see how accurate you're getting with that. Because that's the exact same thing I did with my Madu, is I have a pel that's crossed like this. So I have X's on the arm, X's on the head, and 2 X's on the body. And so I will just stand up to my pel, and I'll try to hit every one of those at least 5 times. And then after I've done that, then I'll throw a shot, and then try to come back off of my shot, off of recovery, to see if I can hit the same point with my thrust. And so once I feel that I am able to do that with great skill, well, I won't say great skill, but as long as I can do that and I'm feeling comfortable when I recover, then I know that I'm heading in the right direction. My problem now is that I fight with it too far over here, and shots have been coming here, and I haven't been bending my wrist to get the edge of the Madu over there. So that's what I'm working on right now, is to start twisting my wrist for protection rather than trying to move the whole defensive tool as a thing. And plus, I'm doing a video. How much of this did you get? Quite a bit. I'm in the process of doing a video that's called The Comeback. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I haven't fought. I was medically unable to fight for 3 years. And now when I go out to fight, I thought I had done this for so long that it was like riding a bicycle. I think my blood pressure medicine or something has robbed me of my physical capability, but not my mental capability. I still know all of what I should do, but it's not clicking like it used to physically. So I am now in the process of trying to train myself all over again, like I'm a brand new fighter, to get used to this new method of fighting. So I know that I'm going to get beat like a redheaded stepchild, because I am purposefully trying to rebuild my fighting. And the reason why I want to rebuild it is mainly a little bit of ego, but I don't feel that I should be called Duke Tomuki if I walk out there and every squire under the planet is just beating the crap out of me. I mean, you know, I mean, they may go, that dude's a Duke, you know. Granted, I know I'm 52 and I'm older than what I used to be. I'm probably 30 years older than most of you, or 20 years older than most of you. But my objective is not to beat that 28-year-old or to beat that 30-year-old. My objective is to always get what I want to do out of the fight accomplished. So even if I'm going to throw an offside arm shot, but he still blasts me and kills me, and I'm still able to get that shot in, I take that as a plus. Oh, okay, I was able to get that in. Now I just got to think about, okay, if that shot comes. And then when I throw it again, try to block that shot. But I mean, that's literally, I have to do work, and all my Pell work is broken down into that, because when I'm at the Pell, I have a kind of a stool that I sit on, and then I throw shots. And I throw shots until I feel that I'm hitting hard enough sitting down, so that I know when I'm standing up and I'm getting more leg into it, that I'm getting more power than what I would get if I wasn't sitting down. And that's just what I do to try to help myself, because I don't feel that I have. Back when I was fighting a lot, I could throw this shot and then come around and this shot and this shot, and they would all be the same power. And I would never have to worry about that. Now, after I throw this shot and this shot, power drops off drastically, and I'm not able to get that shot anymore. So with that not happening and flowing as easy as it used to, I feel a little hitch in my giddy up, because now I have to think about that shot, when before I never had to think about that shot. So the second I think about something, it steals 0.5 seconds from my speed. So now, oh, I thought Tomuki was faster. Well, I was faster when I didn't have to think about the shots, but now I have to think about everything? Crap, you know? And so now I feel like I'm back down to beginner level, because I'm out of practice. And so I just know that the more I fight and the more I keep active in my objective, you know, I lost 70 pounds, and, you know, I'm just doing things and everything possible so that I can be present when I fight and not just out there moving my body around just to be happy that I'm fighting. Because I had to go, and Corwin has been fighting for 40 years, and he's a master at arms. I started talking to people that had been fighting longer than me, and I had to see what, I said, are you happy just to be out there fighting? Or are you still actively trying to beat people? And what I found is half the people are just happy to be out there moving their body. But I think I've trained myself that I only really care, I really hate to say this, not only that I care about winning, but I feel like it's my job to win, because I'm Duke Tomuki, and I feel that I'm pressured to win, and I'm trying to get out of that mind frame, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm blow shucking, you know. I mean, because you can easily get to that. Because if I fought you one week and I just was beating you up one down the other, and then the next week I come out, you might hit me with something, but since I dominated you last time, I may think no, and not because I'm trying to rhino hide, is because I'm busy thinking of how I'm going to kill you, and you hit me with something that I wasn't planning on, and so now I have to make a judgment call, and it didn't make my teeth fall out of my head, so maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't good. And you may, you know, people fall into that category, and people go, oh, that guy's a rhino hide. And I go, well, he's not a rhino hide. You're out there thinking at the same time that person's thinking. He may have just caught him in the middle of a thought process. If somebody's blasting you 3 or 4 times and you're not taking it, then you're just being a dick. You know?